You're listening to The KYLO Show, the podcast where we talk about how to keep your love on no matter what and why whole healthy families are going to save the world. And it starts right now.
Hello and welcome to The KYLO Show. We're back. And this is our first one with our new merch on.
Is it?
Uh-huh.
Is it the first time we've done this?
Well, we did the live, the KYLO 5 workshop, and we wore it there.
That's right.
But we haven't actually had it on set yet.
Whole healthy families are going to save the world.
I know.
Printed right on the front of you while you walk around and people say, "Where'd you get that?"
I know. I've worn it out. We just haven't had it on the show.
Uh-huh.
And everyone that's seen it's like, I love that. It's great.
And those hoodies are like so comfy.
They're great because they're not too hot. So you can wear, if I
right.
wanted to wear a long sleeve, I could.
Yep.
Or a short sleeve or a tank top. And the hood in the back, this is totally a woman's problem, is normally my hair is like stacked up way high in the back and looks crazy.
Yeah.
It doesn't look so much like that because the hoodie's like
It's not like a neck brace.
Yeah. So all the things that
Yeah.
you might want to know. You may not care about that. You probably don't.
Maybe
do. If a guy has long hair, he has that problem. Nash might have that problem if he were to wear it. He's got long hair.
That's true. A shout out to Nash.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're still talking about dreams.
Okay.
Have nothing to do with our sweatshirts, but you know,
we had to plug that.
Sweatshirts.
We did. We had to plug that.
We did. But I'm excited about this one because it's called Raising Dreamers. That's what we're talking about today.
Mm-hmm.
So
we're getting our kids in on this action.
I'm on the front lines of Raising Dreamers.
Yes.
We're paying attention more than ever of being intentional, purposeful. I mean, we love culture in our family. The idea of doing it right, well, and being proud of our culture. Mm-hmm. Those are all things that, we are. It's what we do, and again, it's great. But this avenue of dreaming and stewarding that and developing that in the next generation, and your kids being ignited in who they are, that they're called to do this as well. Because kids have crazy dreams, which are the best,
And it's one thing, for us to believe in our kids and encourage them and that sort of stuff. It's another thing to say, you can do whatever you want. If you can dream it, you can do it. Like, okay, well, I understand where we're going with that whole deal, but you're not going to play in the NBA. I'm sorry. You're just, maybe if you're that particular 0.1% person, okay, you did it. But that's not true that you can do whatever you want, because you were created to be someone. You were created to partner with God in becoming. And so when we say raise up a child, in the way he or she should go, it is literally there's a should in there, as in it's an assignment. Yeah. And I've heard that verse translated to mean raise them up in their bent, the way that they are fashioned and designed. And so it takes it on my part as a dream raiser, a dreamer raiser. It requires that I understand other human beings, that I understand people who aren't like me, that I am capable of leading and inspiring people who are not like me. And it's because I want you to be fully you in your partnership with God.
The school the kids go to right now, their principal or co-founder, she was just talking about this. Angie Taylor's her name, and it was the same thing. Telling your kids that they can do and be whatever they want to be. Well, they've already been created. So I love the paying attention as a parent to what are they called to do? What are their giftings? What are these things, these talents that are highlighted in them? And sure, they steward different things, and maybe them being a preacher or designed to be an evangelist, and they've got this awesome talent for football, and it does in them in the NFL. Like, that's great. But I don't know that that's always going to be the case. But what you should be developing is this little evangelist. That's what...
Who plays football.
Who plays football, who is just so in love with sharing his love or for the Lord and stewarding that ability to talk about it, to preach about it. And that's what we're paying attention to, is how do we ignite that as a dream in their heart to fulfill, not a career. And I think that's what parents get locked onto, is the career that their child's going to have. It's the career. What are they going to do? No, who are they going to be? Because careers change, I mean, look at the last few years. How many people are not doing the career that they planned? But who are they going to be? And what are they called to do? And that's where we need to be leaning in as parents, paying attention to, how has God created this child? And how am I raising them up in the way that they should go? How am I preparing them for who they're going to be in whatever career it is?
And who are they in this story of eternity in partnership with God?
Yeah.
Like, how did you bring the kingdom? How did you participate in the victory of what Jesus created for you? How did you minister to other people? I mean, how will you do this? And what obstacles are you prepared to face and deal with? Because sometimes when we say, you can be whatever you want, it's almost a suggestion that there'll be no struggle. It's going to be handed to you because you want it really bad. And if you throw a big enough fit, you'll get it.
Yeah, I know.
Like, no, that's nothing what life's like. It is everything about what work did you do to become who you were called so that you could happen.
One of Lincoln's dreams right now that have come with struggle is his Taekwondo land.
Yeah.
Kicking boards and smashing them with your palm of your hand or whatever he's doing, or elbow, that's hard. I don't think I could do it. I mean, if I was angry enough, maybe I could do it, but I would probably hurt myself. Is the reality.
He's had a number of do-overs.
He has said. There's a stack of broken boards in his bedroom. But on the way to that, or his recommended black belt that he is now, and he's training for like 6 months. It's a process. Is punches to the face, kicks to the groin. He's had this one kid he's always sparring with, kicks him right and like hooks him on the lower hip. So I don't know if it's like his kidneys. Yeah. So whenever that happens, man, the boy is just like,
that'll take you down.
He told me the other day, he's always kicking me right there. I said, are you supposed to block?
I think you're supposed to block that one.
But there's just this, he says, I want to be a Taekwondo teacher. Like that, he wants to be one of the masters, the teacher. That's one of his dreams right now. And I'm like, yeah, buddy, you keep going with this. That's totally something that can happen. But what I know about Lincoln is he is so compassionate. He is so tender, and his ability to lean in. I mean, that's what I'm watching his instructors is they have this gift and art for, a skill that's meant to beat somebody up, but met with discipline, compassion, and really
courage.
Just courage and all these things. I'm looking at Lincoln, I'm like, totally. Those are all things that he's so good at. And Taekwondo is just how we found it in that lane. But it's bringing out all these natural things that God designed in him. Now, is he going to be a Taekwondo master? I don't know. I don't know, but I'm loving that we found something that's drawing it out in him to dream bigger than his 9-year-old self.
Mm-hmm.
But it's coming with pain, blood, sweat, and tears. I mean, that kid, he's got the silk cheeks. Whenever he works hard, he's just beat red as a tomato every single time. But it's adorable. It's his sweaty little face. But that leaning into a dream that's bigger than himself, that's going to, and facing that there's struggle along the way already.
I love the little motto thing they do in the beginning, like, self-control, courage, whatever. It sounds like they're kind of going down the fruits of the spirit or something. Gentleness isn't in there.
No, it's not.
But it just kind of marks this place in life that where he is faced with these growth areas in his character again and again and again, intentionally, like there's a plan, and he is facing that thing. And how many times has he said, okay, I'm out?
Every month, probably, we say he hits a wall. Maybe not every month, but it is in there.
Yeah, there's been a number of them.
And since becoming a recommended black belt, he wants to say no because he's fighting black belts, which is a lot harder kicks than not black belt kids. That's for sure. I don't know that we've gone through one sparring day that doesn't end in he got hurt somewhere.
And I remember the 4-H, both girls doing the pigs and lambs, and same thing. Addie is, she weighs about as much as one of the back legs of her lambs, and she is out there
wrestling,
manhandling this sheep.
Sometimes it would go. I wish you could see it, guys. I really do.
She, she's like, okay, I've had enough of this. Didn't he butt her in the face one time or something?
He did. It jumped up and clocked her in the nose.
Yeah.
It was one of those, it's not bleeding, but it could have.
Yeah. I mean,
taking her down.
2 years of that. She did 2 rounds, and she made bank. She's the richest 11-year-old I've ever met. At the time, 10 and 11. She's really, really pouring it on. But you can become who you work to become. And that's what they're facing. They're facing, okay, am I going to stop here, or am I pressing on for more? Am I stopping here, or am I pressing on for more? And that is life's lesson. Like, is this as married as I want to be, or do I want more? Is this as much of a father I want to be, or am I going to go get more?
Right.
And that journey has everything to do with character that you develop. And when you're young, this is training up a child in the way they were designed to go. And what a lot of kids don't get is they don't get the encouragement to take the next level.
Yeah, there's a lot of struggle that's removed because it's hard to watch. It's hard to watch your kid struggle. It's hard to watch your kid be in pain. It's hard to argue with the kid of why it's good for them to struggle, but they are relentless. So this is where parents give in, and I would say that struggle that they can develop younger years is just going to translate into more grit when they're older. Because I don't know what Addie and Lincoln or Delaney are going to do professionally. I know what their gifts and talents are, and the more that struggle happens, and I watch them meet it, afraid of it, but step into it, and then they're on the other side of this victory. They're a different kid, and so the more and more that gets developed, and the more that's going to show up in their relationships, that they're going to carry on to whatever it is that they do. And what I'm thankful for is that they watch Ben and I do that, because knowing that our journey in growth with the Lord doesn't stop once you hit a certain age. It doesn't stop once you hit a certain level of married or not married. It doesn't. There's no. You are continually growing. You keep on going. So if I stop, if Ben stops, then our kids are going to believe that at some point they stop. And that's not, I mean, more than ever this next season, I'm like, okay, God, what are we doing?
Mm-hmm.
What are we doing? And I mean, going through a rough season personally, as mom's not supposed to wonder who she is. Mom's not supposed to falter. Mom's not supposed to doubt.
Supposed to have this figured out by now.
Yeah. Mom can't have those moments. Mom, mom walking around looking sad, crying, struggling, doubting, withdrawn. That's not the mom that these kids need. They need a mom that's going to go, okay, Brittney, what are you going to do?
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't stay that way, because you can't lead these people that way.
Mm-hmm.
So, sure, I have a season of that.
Struggle.
A struggle.
Hit a wall.
I hit a wall.
Wanted to quit taekwondo.
I do.
Yeah.
If I was doing it, I
Yeah.
definitely wanted to quit taekwondo.
Yeah.
But it's okay, where's my next step of growth? And what's the next scary thing I'm going to face? Because if I don't lean into chasing down a dream again, chasing down truth, chasing after strengthening myself in the Lord, if I don't do that, then I show them you get to quit.
Mm-hmm.
And if I show them you get to quit, then I'm not raising dreamers.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the place that, Ben's had his struggles, I've had my struggles, and to not withhold that struggle from my kids. I mean, I'm not showing them all the ins and outs of it, obviously, smarter than that, but I still display that there's struggle and that there's pain and there's confusion. But when I'm on the other side of it, they go, okay, if mom can do it, I can do it, because she believes in me.
Mm-hmm. The famous dreamer in the Bible, Joseph, he dreams that all my family members are going to bow down to me,
I can see Addie saying that to, hey guys.
Hey, y'all. and he's a teenager when he's having this dream, so it's just kind of ultra bitter for his whole sibling group, especially. Okay. And the dream looks awesome. Looks like, hey, this is pretty sweet. I'm kind of egocentric anyway, and imagine me having a dream like this. And sure enough, he does. But what he doesn't realize is that between where he is and that dream being realized is a lifetime of character building. And some pretty gnarly things that he never would have written into his own script. And I think that is why we point out to our children so much of your dreams coming true has everything to do with you being willing to take on growth. Mm-hmm. Growth as a human being, growth as a follower of Christ, growth as a man, growth as a woman, whatever it might be. But you have a dedication to growing from the time you're little. And that is training up a child in the way they should go.
Yeah, that the test of your character doesn't usually show up when you're 9. I'm sure you have those moments where, did you eat that extra cookie? But the test of your character and that the build that you've been growing, or hopefully your parents help you grow, is later on in life. And that's why it's so important to be really looking at your home and going, wow, am I stewarding what the Lord gave me with these kids? Am I raising them up? Am I teaching them? Am I really helping carve out a path in the way that they should go? And that awareness is going to change the game for them. And if you didn't get it, this is a place where you need to be focusing on, okay, what are the gifts and talents that God has fashioned for these children, and how am I stewarding that well? Mm-hmm. And how am I helping them in the struggle? How am I helping them let them have a struggle? Mm-hmm. And how am I leading them in having struggles myself?
I was just with some folks that had little kids, and we were having this conversation, something like this, and the dad says, so you're saying that it's a good thing that my kids struggle. So it's essential.
Yeah.
It's essential. And if you remove that struggle, they're going to be underdeveloped and you're going to be really sad.
Yeah.
So it becomes part of your strategy is to take a step back and let them struggle. And don't rescue them from the pain. I mean, and don't rescue yourself, which is probably like what you were talking about earlier. Like, this is tough.
This is miserable.
It's tough to watch a kid struggle when you could just step in there, fix it. Okay, let's all move on.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we're going to have to do this again and again and again until the kid learns his lesson.
Mm-hmm.
And once your child learns their lesson, then they can move on.
Mm-hmm. And that's, I think of so many different times where I've said, how many times do you want to do this? You keep jumping in and removing the lesson because you think that you're helping, just means you're going to have to do this again.
Mm-hmm.
And it gets costly the older that they get. That's the hardest part, I think, talking with teenage parents, is there's a lot of things that they removed from their younger kids. And they are just living in that mistake or that struggle again. But it's a different game when they're 16 versus 6.
Those consequences just keep getting more expensive.
Yeah.
The older they get, the more expensive those consequences turn out to be.
That's for sure.
Absolutely. Well, our lives are on display right now.
More than ever.
And I think the lessons that we as adults are learning, whether it is, how do you deal with a global meltdown in trust? How do you deal with local restrictions of limitation, freedom in the name of safety instead of communistic shutdown? Like, what are we? And the children are just taking notes.
Oh, yeah.
They're just watching everything we say, everything we do, and it becomes a display of our character. It's kind of like having marriage struggles in front of your kids. Like, that's those are notes that are being taken by how you handled being hurt, how you handled feeling embarrassed, how you handled not getting your way, and like, okay, all right, here we go.
About everyone that lost their job or different situations happened in the last couple of years. How did you lead in trusting the Lord on display with your kids? How did you when churches shut down everywhere, what did you do? Did you just watch more TV? Or did you figure out how do we replace this, default thing that we've created of church? If we just go and that's where we get fed. That's what we get. So that went away. What did you do to replace it? How did you lead in that in this last season? What did you do when you lost your job? How did you lead in hope of we have no money coming in? How did you position your heart to display that you trust the Lord? Because just like fighting or just like, being frustrated with, your mom or whatever, these relationship things that our kids pick up on, how did you lead in those? And if you didn't lead very well, I'd say you should change today. I would 100%, it's not too late to change from your old behavior and move into a new behavior.
Yeah, especially if you became bitter, if you are given to complaining and negativity or anything that's rooted in fear, this would be a great time to repent. This would be a great time to say, you know what? I've handled this poorly.
Yeah.
That I hit the wall. I need to back away. I need to trust the Lord. I need to rejoice. Here's my lessons that I'm learning right now. And then you'll be able to point back to it and go, remember that time that I had this really tough lesson I had to learn? That's what you're doing, honey.
Yeah. I think the repenting part I love. if you're ready to change, that's probably a great place to start. If, I've been scared, I've been complaining, I've been critical, I don't want to lead in that in our home. So I'm going to be changing some things. You can let me know if you hear that. I want to hear it. I want us all to change how we talk. I want us to trust the Lord. So we're going to start changing today. I mean, that's as easy as it needs to be. It doesn't have to be, weeping on the floor, kissing of their feet. I mean, it doesn't need to be extreme. It's that simple. And then you change.
Yep. And then you change.
And
there's
that's
the key. The key is I don't care if you're sorry. I care if you change.
Yep.
Yeah. And we're led by the spirit of love, not by the spirit of fear.
Yeah.
And I think that's where most of us in the repentance is, I got to get back to being led by love.
Yeah. And we're talking about culture in a way that it may be new for some people. And so if culture is something that you want to change, if you want to integrate some of the things that we've been talking about with your family, a great resource is our Life Academy. And I mean, I do the Parenting 101 course, and I talk about all different parenting skills, and that's going to help you when the struggle happens and it gets really loud and it's really hard. I want to bring tools and resources that help you allow for struggle to happen and still feel like a powerful parent.
Yeah. And it's a great place maybe to reset some mind sets and some, be like, what do I do?
Yeah.
Oh, here you go. Here's some great tools and skills on display, on parade in the Life Academy.
Over and over again. So if you haven't checked out our Life Academy, that's a great place to go. There's other resources other than parenting. That's just my favorite because I did that one, and I'd love to share it with you. So I think that'll be a great game changer for shifting your mindset, engaging in a new culture, and having someone that's wants to lead you on that journey. So, all right. Well, we're going to jump into our questions next, and we'll see you in just a minute. All right. Well, we're going to jump into our questions that we have today. I love to remind you that if you want to submit a question, you can do that at thekyloshow.com. And there you can
speak into the pipe.
You do. You tell us. You get your voice, which I always love because, I mean, I don't know where people are from, and they don't always tell us, but you can tell that they're not all from.
They are from all over the world.
They are from all over the place.
It's so fun.
It is really fun. So we love hearing your voices. We love hearing your questions. But today's first question comes to us from Kayla.
Hey, Danny and Brittney, this is Kayla. And my question is, I know that you talk about how to deal with someone who is maybe aggressive and, saying things like, I'm happy to participate when we can have a respectful conversation. But my question would be, how do you handle a conversation, say, with a teenager who refuses to speak at all? How can you draw out conversation or some kind of a response from that person who just completely shuts down and refuses to speak? Thanks.
Opposite direction.
Yeah.
Yeah. The old try to make me.
Yeah. Teenagers seem to like to do that. I mean, I always love your only difference between a teenager and a toddler is body hair.
Yeah.
It's the same defiance. I am not.
You can't make me.
Nope.
You don't control me. I mean, there's a couple things going on with that. One is the power struggle piece of it. Like, talk to me. Tell me what you think. Why don't you answer me? And the kid's just like, oh.
Nothing.
Yeah. You're training me for marriage, and I'll find a woman that'll do all the work, and I don't have to do any of it. Like, okay. The other part of that is that he could be very much an internal processor, and you just need some time. And if you're a verbal processor and you're like, I need some closure here. And he is just locking up because the more words that you say, the deeper into his cave system he goes. So if that's going on, then you just have to realize that pressure just clogs him up. And he's thinking more about surviving the conversation than
engaging,
participating.
Yeah.
So I don't know which one it is, but if it is, you can help yourself a lot by saying, let me give you some time, and why don't you think about it? And I'll be fixing dinner, or whatever. But there may also be like I'll be glad to turn the Wi-Fi back on after we've had this conversation, but I'm going to give you some time. So there's a consequence for the never re-engaging, never finding closure, never taking responsibility. Like, oh, well, I will put something you want behind me, and I will stand in front of it.
Yeah.
And you have to go through me to get that thing you want. Because closure isn't what you want. That's what I need.
Yeah.
A decision isn't what you want. That's what I need. Clean up your mess with the disrespect or whatever isn't what you need, but it's what I want.
Yeah.
What you need is the Wi-Fi password that I've changed or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I will stand in front of that until you bring to this relationship contribution that helps us move on.
Yeah. I that was my thought for if there's conflict and needing
Power
to be
struggle.
that it to be resolved is amazing how motivated they are when they want the keys to the car or they want the internet or they want to be able to go somewhere where they wanted to go and you control permission, opportunity, and resources. That's the things to remember. So leaning into that, I loved Meg Meeker, Dr. Meg Meeker. She has Strong Mothers, Strong Sons. And there was a section in her book that really talked about how young boys boys and girls are wired differently, but just as a mother's relationship with her son, leaning into giving space for him to respond, because we've got lots of girls in our house. So there's never not talking at the dinner table. And I was laughing just in the way into the office today. Ben was driving and I'm reviewing our show notes. And there's not one word said between the house and getting here because I was reading the entire time. And I was laughing thinking, if I wasn't reading right now, there'd be so much conversation because I have so many words.
It is kind of funny when Ben and I ride in a car together.
Sure.
It's kind of quiet.
It's kind of quiet. Havel Cunnington says that the amplified version of the Bible is God's gift to women because it has more words. I died. I was like, that's probably true. But what Meg Meeker talks about is, the pause, asking a question or their opinion of something and letting there be this uncomfortable pause and you not searching to find what they're trying to say for them, because that just reinforces that whatever you have to say isn't as important as me trying to figure it out for you. So I teach you to be silent in my presence because I'm just going to do it for you. And so that, I'm reading this, looking at Lincoln, who's 9, thinking, okay, he's in a car full of girls. I feel like I'm constantly trying to swat the girls away from trying to fill in the blanks of what your brother's trying to say.
And he's the youngest.
Double whammy there. But that might be something to think about, is engaging in a conversation and being okay with that it might take a long time to get him to process something.
And it's a long time to you. It may not be a long time to him.
Yeah, and it could be some training that you've had if he's a teenager. So reprogramming the expectation and maybe cleaning up a mess. But those are suggestions. And if you haven't read that book, I would suggest you do that. It's a great book. All right, the next question that we have comes from Noemi.
Hi, Danny and Brittney. So my question is about cultures. I am French, living in Denmark. My husband is Danish, and we are raising 2 girls together. And we speak English together, but my husband speaks Danish to the girls, and I'm speaking French to them. So there's a lot of languages going on at the table. And sometimes we clash with my husband in a way to be respectful or just understanding each other because we come from different cultures, but also simply because we're different. So I wanted to know if you had any tips, if you had any suggestions on how to be more honorable and how to respect each other's culture without having a culture that overtakes the other. Thank you.
This reminds me one time I was in England, and there was a French pastor and a German couple riding in the car with us, and so one of them said, "What do you call it when you can speak two languages?" And I said, "Bilingual." He goes, "What do you call it when you can speak three languages?" I said, "A trilingual." He goes, "What do you call it when you can only speak one language?" He said, "American." And I thought, yeah, that's how I felt.
That's not wrong.
So can you imagine that dinner table?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Especially, I mean, Ben and I are two different cultures, but they don't feel like what Noemi's got going on here. That is another level of the dinner table.
Differences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's not different languages. There's not
People who share one culture have
enough
hard. Yeah, they have enough disagreements and
on their
differences.
normals.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
I think the respect piece that she talked about is I'd be leaning into clarifying what your needs are there, and I'm sure there's an agreement and an understanding of there's some core values that they both want to protect. Sometimes the way of going about it, feels violating or disrespectful. So communicating how to clarify that, how to, hey, and I wouldn't do it maybe in front of the girls as you're discovering, that exchange doesn't feel very good. I probably would be having the discussion elsewhere and then adjusting, so that the girls don't have this debate in front of them.
I can only imagine that there's some kind of a French and Danish competition going on in the house. Like which one is the best culture, which one is the most important that you learn, and who's the best teacher. So there'll be some of that.
Yeah. Again, good communication, respectful communication.
Yeah.
I think prioritizing connection. Going through the KYLO 5 is really going to be paying attention to all those elements. And leaning in, Ben's here in the States, so it's kind of, he's outnumbered. He's greatly outnumbered in things. But I always love when he makes hot cross buns around Easter. That's not an American tradition that I've ever known about, but he's still mastering how to do them where they taste as good as his mom's. He has yet to do it, but we all love the effort. It's a fun thing to invite into. And there's other little things, the poppers at Christmas and stuff like that. We never had those before. We've done those a couple times, but
I think, the working on the connection between husband and wife is going to be the key, and being a champion of each other's cultures. Yeah. Where we, I'm trying to disarm any kind of competition between us by displaying that we're both on the same team. And I think that, to the degree that they are successful at exalting each other's culture to the children, but also to each other, removes the discrediting or the power struggle around winner, chicken dinner, like there has to be a real elegance to, we are a multicultural family, and yet what is our family culture? Because that's actually the important one that we're going to build. It's not we're going to do your parents' family, we're not going to do my parents' family, we're going to do our family. And that is everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone has this family culture they're building, and if we don't yield our normal and create a new normal, then we'll just create conflict and confusion.
Totally. So KYLO 5,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's probably a great place to be leaning into and activating that in the relationship with your husband so that your culture gets to shine through. But it's a great question.
Good stuff.
All right. The next one that we have comes to us from Elizabeth.
Hi, Danny and Brittney. My name's Elizabeth. First of all, thank you so much for the KYLO show. It's been a huge encouragement to me. My question today is, how do you handle it when you find out your kid's been lying to you? I recently found out that my 10-year-old son had lied to me a couple times. It was about something pretty small, but he did it so convincingly, and I had no idea up to that point. So there's been a couple other things since then that I'm pretty sure I'm not being told the truth, but I don't know for sure. So I'm just trying to figure out how to handle this in a healthy way, because I don't want to be looking over his shoulder all the time. I don't want to be doubting him when he is telling the truth and causing more harm. But on the other hand, my trust has been broken, and I just need some help figuring out how to communicate that to him. Thanks.
Lying is such a big,
Moralistic.
yeah, it feels so scary as parents. I think that's the, if you don't tell me the truth, then how will I be able to trust you with my heart, with permission, with, protecting us? So when it's introduced, it feels so violating to us. And, sometimes it's small with the cookie, what are you talking about? I have no cookie in my mouth, it's chocolate all over the place. To, they were on their iPad all night playing a video game, and you're pretty darn sure that you know that, but you're not really sure. Or they're playing a video game that you said not to, and they're secretly doing. I mean, this is where technology usually is a root of a lot of lying and hiding, in my experience of working with parents. But it goes back to this heart connection for me, is being able to communicate with them, how I'm experiencing our relationship and what I'm afraid of, and that I'm scared, and I want to have a relationship that has trust and connection in it, and not being afraid to set a hard boundary if that's what's required. And that's where it gets a little, I think, dicey, because if you don't know for sure, you're like, am I punishing them? Are they really lying to me? Are they not lying to me? It's just this swirl that consumes us, and then we react out of fear, which can just cause all sorts of problems for us.
Mm-hmm. The great thing about a 10-year-old is they have a safety net, 8 years at home, 8 years of practicing what to do about losing trust. Mm-hmm. But it is very much about a credibility problem. Mm-hmm. So when your 10-year-old has a credit problem, that's one thing. When your 28-year-old has a credit problem, that's a totally different thing. Yeah. So learning this lesson here is very helpful for him moving forward. And I would not be afraid to say to him, I don't know if I could believe you right now. Mm-hmm. I don't believe you right now. I don't believe you're telling me the truth. When you actually feel that. Because you're not suspicious, you are wise. Like, okay, I crossed that bridge and I fell through. I fell through and I fell in the river. Okay, I'm going across that bridge again. I'm going to be very careful this time. Or I'm not very smart. And so there's nothing damaging to be careful and to be wise. Mm-hmm. So when he says, A, he lies to you, and you say, wow, what are you going to do? And he's like, I don't know. I can't unlie. How do I unlie? You're like, I don't know. But I got to tell you, it makes me scared to just believe you in the future. So when he comes back and goes, my sister hit me, like, oh, gosh. Do you have a photo? Was there a video of that? Because I'm scared to disbelieve you. Do you know why I'm scared to believe you? Because I lied? Right. Right. That's what happens. That's what happens. So, I want to believe you. I need to believe you. How will I believe you? Because you keep lying or because you tell me the truth? Because I tell you the truth. All right. Glad we had this little lesson. But that type of interaction has got to be something that you offer as a parent so that he understands it is super important that I protect the trust of being unsupervised.
Yeah. Which, you know, on an iPad or something like that looks the same of, I would love to let you have this as soon as I feel like I can trust you.
Or like you're going to tell me the truth about it.
You're going to tell me what happened on this and not that I found out you bought a game I told you couldn't have.
Yeah.
That feels really scary. I'm really sorry. I don't know what to tell you, but as soon as I feel like I can trust you and you've got a plan.
You can protect us or I'll protect us.
And giving over that kind of what feels so weighty for a 10-year-old is scary for the parent. But again,
Practice.
10 or 28, I think you've got these years to develop them understanding the value of having trust in a relationship. So, great question. All right, well, we're going to jump into our testimony now.
Here we go.
And we'll see you in a minute. All right, well, we are back with our testimony. And today's testimony comes to us from Seth. I'm pretty sure it's Dahl.
Yeah.
Which is my buddy.
Hey, Danny and Brittney. My name is Seth, and I am so thankful for the KYLO show. Every episode, everything you talk about helps me pretty much with every relationship in my life. It helps me with friends. It helps me with my wife, with my kids, with people I work with. It helps me everywhere. And it is so empowering and freeing and strengthening. I love the show so much. I'm so thankful for everything you guys share, every topic you bring up, everything you discuss, the wisdom that's on this show. Thank you, thank you, thank you for putting it out there for us to listen to.
I love Seth.
That was
great.
quick. He had to go milk a cow.
Probably.
Yeah.
Lauren's the one that's milking a cow, not Seth. But
Well, that reminds me of just to direct everybody to Coffee, Kids, and Crazy, which is you and Seth
it is. And
talking parenting.
we're talking parenting, which is, the KYLO show, loving your kids on purpose, culture of honor. I just stole a bunch of everything that I learned from you, and Seth and I talk about it.
It's called inheritance.
Yeah.
There's
okay,
no
we'll
there's
go
no
with that.
stealing going on. No,
You
that's-
gave it to me.
Yeah,
Thank you. But Seth is him and I worked for years together at a children's department at Bethel. Developed a really great relationship and friendship there, and built a bunch of stuff together. So we've had a lot of fun and challenges in the best way. And just I remember so much growing and running together. And he didn't have kids at first when we first were working together, and him and Lauren got married, and I remember hanging out with them, and then they watched Addie, I think when she was weeks old, and Lauren was pregnant, so they came over to babysit so they could practice. And I love how much Seth is he's always had a heart. He's such a father, and just embraced all the tools and running alongside with us, and he's just grown. So he's got Seth Dahl Ministries. He's doing all sorts of amazing things.
He
which you
wrote
should-
Win-Win Parenting.
Yeah,
I
a
don't know.
family, win-win family, and he's doing just a great job in all of that. So Spirit-Led Kids, he's got some great resources. So if you haven't checked him out, you should do that as well.
DAHL.
Yes,
Doll.
not like a baby doll.
Not like a baby doll,
No.
but like a doll sheep.
It's fitting. They're kind of farmers.
There you
so,
go.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us on the KYLO show. As always, we had so much fun, and just encouraging you to keep dreaming and doing this intentionally with your families.
Raise up dreamers.
Because whole healthy families are going to save the world.
Boom.
We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening. Never miss an episode of The KYLO Show by subscribing to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or watch us on the Loving on Purpose YouTube channel. Don't forget to submit your questions and testimonies to thekyloshow.com. The KYLO Show is produced by Allie Armerding, co-produced by Ashley Beck and Anna Hill, sound engineered and edited by Taylor Silk, and show promoter Christian Zamora. Don't forget, whole healthy families gonna save the world.